Tonight on the Game On podcast, Adelaide out in straight sets, but it underpins what's been lacking at the Crows moving forward. And Port Adelaide look like they're going to be pretty busy during this trade period, but really need to keep Zach Butters. And preliminary finals, the best games, but the hardest ones to win. All right, let's do this. Welcome to the Game On podcast. My name's Pete. Once again, joined in the studio here with Malcolm. Malcolm, how has your week been, mate?
Plenty of watching footy and not league footy. We'll get back to that.
Yep.
But I admit the highlight was probably on Saturday. I was watching uni early, doing the right thing. It was a game where, being honest, we knew we weren't going to win before the game. Do the right thing. Always go and support where you don't think you'll get up.
Yep.
And Pulteney happened to be playing in the late game. So son of Michael, Joel was playing. Mm-hmm. So caught up with Aishi and went over, and Keith Thomas was there watching. And as is always the case, when you're not invested in a game, you're more relaxed.
Yep. Bit more banter.
Well, Aishi's invested.
Yes.
When Aishi's following someone, he's in. And look, Pulteney absolutely shitted in.
Yep.
But Aishi was still nervous and all that. And KT's gone, I've been trying to tell him the game's all over. I said, geez, this game was over 45 minutes ago. Yep. So KT and I then just said, what's Pat up to, this and that? How's the concussion industry? And sort of actually sort of thinking, would you two shut up sort of thing. Yep. So, but yeah, it was quite amusing catching up with the two of them in that regard.
Obviously, previous guests of ours.
Yes.
White line fever still there for Aishi. Loves it.
It's just always when he's involved with something, he's always full on.
Yeah, he's 100%.
Yeah.
How's KT going? Just on the flip side of things there.
We had a good chat.
Concussion development.
So he's going to be involved in the A1 Grand Final this week,
yep,
and in the League Grand Final as well. Brilliant. So it was quite interesting talking to Keith and about the American side of it a little bit,
yep,
with concussion obviously over there as well. So it's
some interesting developments.
Yeah,
we might have to get him on just to talk about it again. Obviously with the American side of development. So we'll follow that one up. All right, mate. Let's get into Around the Grounds.
Around the Grounds.
All right, coming up a little bit later in Around the Grounds, we obviously have the SANFL, some soccer, and some AFLW to look at. But kick us off, let's talk AFL football. The Adelaide Crows, unfortunately, after a lacklustre final series, the gaps have been shown, and it's time to get to work to fix it.
Yeah, look, I think there's a few things there. And I actually thought it was pretty well summed up in terms of one point where it said where some of the Crows players would be really dark with Isaac Rankin.
Yep. Some
would be very disappointed with the AFL and think it's way over the top.
Yep. So
I think there's probably that. And look, the reality is he was one of the two best players. They couldn't afford to lose him. And, it was absolutely vital. And I just think that they knocked the edge off. But there was probably the alarm bells when you really look upon it a little bit more logically afterwards. They just scraped in against West Coast.
Yep.
Admittedly, the last game against North Melbourne, I didn't think that was worried because I thought that was bruise-free footy. They were trying to get through, but it probably wasn't right. So I think they did fall away towards the end of the year, and you want to hit that final series running, and just losing Rankin, I thought. There's a couple of things there. O'Brien, look, I would have delisted Riley O'Brien years ago. I've always been open about that.
Yes.
But he'd had a good patch, but then as soon as he signed, he was terrible after that. The last 4 to 6 games, he got beaten really heavily each week.
So do they need another ruckman in there to get him back that competitive edge? Because that's, if he was playing for a contract, obviously, maybe he needs to be on that white line fever to perform.
Yeah, look, it was a bit
the
of
psychology
irony
of everything.
with Lloyd Meek, where I was very open that I thought the Crows should have gone for Lloyd Meek. He should have been their number one priority 3 years ago. And Friday night,
it was shown.
It showed big time.
Yep. Was it a case of Adelaide almost sort of thinking along the lines is that we achieved that goal of making finals?
Yeah, I don't think so internally, but you've got to ask coaching questions. Now, if you go back and have a look at the game against Hawthorn down in Launceston, Newcombe kicks the winning goal. And if you watch the positioning of Berry, it was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those first 4 or 5 centre bounces, he's like a puppy dog who goes too early. You know, the enthusiast, no, back here, sit.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there thinking, well, hang on. It stood out so obviously.
Yep.
And there.
And
you
they
meant
had
to learn. Yeah, you meant to sit and watch and learn.
Plenty of time to
review.
Yep.
And yet, for mine, they didn't. And I know that's being a bit simplistic just on one player.
No,
but geez, it stood out. Because realistically, the game was over after 2 minutes.
Yep. Well, Newcombe had shown his hand to will not only be one of the better finals players, I think he's ranking up there with Dusty Martin as far as statistics go. But they knew that coming in that he was going to be a driving force, and yet he's the one that gets the first four clearances out of the... Yeah, exactly right. Absolutely crazy. The team didn't even win a quarter for the entire final series. How can they go from the best scoring to not scoring at all?
Yeah, it was a bit bizarre. Well,
is it a case of finals pressure did get to them?
Maybe, but I think overall, we all knew they were a midfielder short. In reality, they needed Saligo and Berry to kick on, and they really probably didn't.
Yep.
And plateaued where Saligo had shown shines. You're going, geez, could he become an A grader?
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't.
Yep.
In fact, I think he fell away and went backwards. So
I'm
I
hopeful
thought that
for him
vital.
For next year.
Yeah, I agree with
Berry's the interesting one for me as to how they deploy him and whether he can take that next step and actually do what Saligo did 2 years ago and have his little spurt. Is it a case of too much being done by too few?
Yeah, and maybe look in time, does that mean Michael only goes into the middle? We all know he can seriously play, and Curtin possibly as well. Yep. So there's things there, you know, whether Petrarca comes into the equation, who knows?
I was going to talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it now. Is it a realistic opportunity? Because I thought that the Crows might have a little dabble at him last year, but he did make quite clear that he only really wanted Victorian clubs, whereas this year he's come out and said, look, I'm open to most things, Sydney, Gold Coast or
I admit,
Adelaide.
I take everything with a grain of salt this time of year, and it's also what you're going to have to give up to get him.
Yep. And would 2 first-round draft picks be...
It's a big thing for a 29-year-old who's not burst pace, which is their big weakness.
Yep. And that's going to be my question, is it doesn't quite fit Adelaide's age profile. But you have a look at what Adelaide did in, 96 when they recruited Darren Jarman, almost sort of somewhat at the end of his career, but he was able to change the game a little bit. Are they missing one big-bodied midfielder?
Yeah, but
he reminds me a little bit of Crouch.
Yeah, I don't think Petrarca's got the forward craft of a D. Jarman, though.
No. I'm not talking about from a forward point of view, but a squirt through the middle and maybe a high half forward type role.
Yeah, as I said, I'm just not sure. I think Draper is vital for Adelaide next year. And look, I don't understand why they didn't play him more this year. I think it was ridiculous. Yeah, I get it. His body might have got tired. We know that. But, yeah, I still think...
Sometimes you've got to let him go, don't you?
Well, I think they paid for that in the finals. You know, like Lockie Murphy still played 5 games this year. And they were 5 games...
that you could have got into someone like Draper.
Yeah.
Obviously, talking about Lockie Murphy has been delisted today as of exit interviews. Tex Walker's an interesting one. Your thoughts on whether he goes around one more time, or has it satisfied him, or is it a case of the way that they went out, there's a little bit of unfinished business?
Oh, I think it's the last one. I don't think he wanted to go out with that last game. Look, if he'd played as well as he did against Collingwood, you could almost tick it off more, but I reckon there'd be a bit there now he'd want to. But, yeah, look, let's just wait and see.
And if he does go around for another year, is, say, 12 games around about right for him next year?
And yeah, possibly. But also, I get a bit bemused at this acting, the 3 talls. Darcy's not 6'5", 6'6". He's lucky if he's 6'2".
Yep.
6'1", 6'2". He's more the half-forward flanker type. Sort of thing anyway.
Could he be someone that squirts into the middle as a big-bodied midfielder?
The big thing, he's never had that tank. And he's been in the system for a long time now not to have that tank because body-wise, yes.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And obviously Tech's mentoring Fogarty, which we've talked about on various occasions there, but his forward craft is something that still needs work on. Fogarty, that is, needs a little bit of work on. But Walker's the one that's marshalling the troops and moving people around or putting them into places where they're going to be most effective.
For mine, the last player on the list, Taylor Walker's still a mile better than.
Okay.
So for mine, I know I'd still have.
You've just answered my question perfectly. I was going to say, would you take him for one more year? On the other side, Brodie Smith getting obviously a little bit older, but still has some value potentially. Or do you think that back six is reasonably set and there's no other real role for him?
I don't think they'll go with both of them. Put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if Tex says I want one more year, he goes one more year. Brodie's the unlucky one to miss out.
Apparently Brodie was. It did look like signs afterwards, after the game, that might be it. So,
yep.
Yeah.
What about the young ones, Zach Taylor, Hugh Bond?
Progress, but still a long way to go.
Yep.
I want to see Bond be develop a bit more offensively. He's okay defensively.
Yep.
And Zach Taylor showed signs at times. Others didn't quite do enough. Admittedly, that high half forward role and all that.
It is tough.
It's a tough role to play. So.
And Kieran Strawn's probably the other one. Do Adelaide persist with keeping him on the list, or
he's not on the list now?
Sorry,
he's not on the list.
Oh, sorry,
now.
He's not. He's uncontracted. You're
he's not on the list. He won't be there.
Now
it's McAndrews, the other ruckman.
Yeah, that's correct. That's right, because he was a supplementary player. Yeah. That's right. If the Crows can get Draper, Archie, Bailey, and Petrarca through the door.
Draper said he's off to Brisbane today.
He's definitely confirmed. All right, sorry, I hadn't heard that one throughout the day. So that one's off the table. But Archie, Bailey, and Petrarca, if they can pull those three off,
I don't think you'll get all three, and I don't think if you know. Let's just wait and see. I'd still be surprised if. I'd be amazed if Zach Bailey left.
Yep.
I'd still be. Yeah. Let's wait and see.
Yep. And Jai Simpkins come out today and obviously said that he is exploring options as captain of North Melbourne, other options that are out there. So it's going to be an interesting trade period coming up, isn't it, as to what clubs are going to be able to...
it will be. There'll be a lot of things going to them. A lot of things will get said that this is happening and then the opposite will happen.
Yep. Obviously, interviews are underway. Some tough decisions need to be made, while others are not so tough that need to be made, and it looks like they've started down that path. What is their number one priority? Is it a ruck, a midfielder, or a backman?
I think it's a ruckman and midfield.
Yep. Are you keeping Jordan Butts?
I
know there's been some talk.
I'd like to keep him, but I don't blame him if he wants out. In fact, I think as an individual he should want out.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting to see, because I think there's a few clubs interested in him, so they might be interested.
You don't see him in their back six?
No. It's probably him or Murray, whatever, and I think Murray's in front of him still. So I just think at the moment, I think he should explore his own avenues. So, yeah.
It's going to be an interesting watch there. Finals experience has now shown that teams that are looking to build towards continued success need that depth of experience, and it's being showed with 3 out of the 4 preliminary finalists all having that massive experience.
Yep.
Just being able to build yourself to a 27-week season does play a big part, doesn't it?
I think getting the body, it's just the body still keep going with and not run out of puff so much. So, yeah.
So pre-seasons are obviously important, but depth of pre-seasons as far as multiple years does play a part.
Hawthorn decided their defence was to go. And Frost had a reasonable year last year, and then he's become surplus.
Yep.
And I think we all thought, why you get recruiting Battle and Barras? It'd be one, but hey, can't argue with them at the moment.
Yep, and they look like they're after Zach Merritt as well. So that's going to be an interesting conversation that's going to happen over the next couple of weeks as well. Adelaide coming from 15th to 1st probably shows the inequitable draw that we've got, where Adelaide obviously finishing in that bottom 6 had to play most of those bottom 6 sides twice. Next year won't be as easy, and we're probably going to get a true indication that they could potentially be in that bottom 4 of the 8, basically.
Which is probably really
which is about
realistic,
right.
Yeah.
Which is about where we sort of thought they might be this year. Very, very interesting. Adelaide, successful season or not, mate?
Overall, yes, but to not be competitive really in either final is pretty disappointing.
Yep. Big problem. All right, let's move on to Port Adelaide, mate. They are casting their net far and wide in search of a football boss, with Jimmy Bartell seen down at Albion.
Yeah, Jimmy's had a few roles. He missed out on a role at the AFL, which I think
he probably should have got.
Yes. So they'd be mad not to cast their wire. And I agree what you've got on a little bit further on with Cars WA connections. Well, he'd be silly not to be trying to use those.
Yep.
So yeah.
You speak to most AFL coaches, not speak to them directly, but you hear them talk about putting people around you that you know, that you trust, that can get the job done. It looks like his time over in WA was quite productive as far as building those relationships goes, because he wasn't over there for a long, long time.
Yeah, from WA originally though. So yeah.
Yep. So interesting to see how that all goes.
Yeah,
Peter Bell, also from over in the West there, has also been mentioned as a possible replacement for Davies.
Any of us can throw a name up.
That's true, but he's currently at the WA, the Waffle Commission there, or the equivalent to the SANFL. Would he be a good appointment, considering he has obviously been at Fremantle as well?
Well, it's not like he hasn't been around the traps, so yeah, I think it'd be huge to get Bartell though.
Yep,
he just makes he's
a bit too common sense.
Yeah. Yes.
Probably need him at the AFL more than anything
exactly.
there. Port Adelaide, obviously, with 78,023 members in 2025. The great divide between Adelaide and Port is shrinking.
A little bit, but I'd still love to see out of the members. I think it should be marked down who's 11-game members, who's a 3-game member. It's stats which should be way more transparent than what they are. You just don't know.
They have pet memberships these days and sibling memberships and all sorts of stuff like that. So it's quite interesting. But it does look like the gap is narrowing just a little bit. And we were lucky enough to go to the Port Showdown game there, and they do put on a pretty good entertainment.
They do it well.
Which is really well. And that all stems back from when KT was there, and he obviously talked about that in his interview as well. Butters is a name that hasn't been mentioned recently as far as the trade period goes, but do we see him seeing out his contract next year?
You just don't know. Let's all remember the end of the season. It was Houston. No, honouring the contract, and then bang. So you just don't know. But I think at the moment it's just every single player is now being mentioned. So yeah, as I said, grain of salt. Let's wait and see.
Congratulations, obviously, to Zach Butter winning the Port Adelaide John Cale medal there for the best and fairest player. That'd be a huge loss, but Carr just has this. I don't know, there's a bit of an aura around Port Adelaide at the moment that they could be building towards something quite special with just a couple of little appointments here. They're definitely not standing still in what they're looking
they'll
to
have a crack, but let's also remember how many injuries they had this year. Sadly, if, Lukosius Marshall and all that, and, Ram, there's developments, and Whitlock, there's a bit there to work with. Yep. So, let's wait and see.
Georgiadis finishes runner-up in the best and fairest as well. That's another name that probably hasn't been given the kudos that he had to sort of carry that forward line as much as possible.
Oh, massively. And look, also that he'd had a knee reco and all that as well.
Yep.
So, yeah.
All right, mate, let's move on to some AFL hot topics. State of Origin is back on the agenda. Victoria v WA in February in Perth. Mate, is this AFL actually serious about what they're doing? Playing on a hard surface with players worried about injuries over in WA in the middle of February?
Look,
it looks like Keystone Cops.
For the players, I think
fantastic.
I think that is the only time they can play it, by the way, personally. Yep. Players, yes, I get it, but it's not. Look, we can never have the state origin like rugby has, because there's not Australian selection at the end of it. There's not that thing there. And it was huge in the old day state of origin and that, because you still also had the guys in the SANFL and the Waffle playing.
That's right.
You haven't got that anymore. It's not the same. I'm lukewarm about it.
Okay.
But I get it why the players
would a mid-season buy for everybody satisfy that?
Clubs will still come down on players. Any players remotely sore players will then rule out. I do think, and I dare say that's happened behind the scenes where it's gone, right, no, it's got to be pre-season. So I get that.
Yep. South Australia obviously missing out, but is this a missed opportunity for them to make it a festival of football over, say, a weekend where SA could have played the Indigenous All-Stars?
Maybe, but I admit, I think at the moment, South Australia, I don't mind that they're not in it. I think we fall away a bit at the moment. Mm-hmm. If you actually get there and you see a stateside picked at the moment, a potential stateside, there are weaknesses there.
Yep.
You know, so,
or is it a case of playing an all-star weekend where you actually play the top 44 that have been selected, or 50, say, selected from the All-Australian from the year before, play against each other?
I reckon it's got no meaning. Who cares? We've seen the basketball all-star games. We're more physical doing the show than what the bloody basketball game is. Yeah,
hey, mate, don't throw your elbow on the way out tonight. So, all right, so you're lukewarm on it. Is Perth the right venue or the right stadium for it?
The Indigenous game worked at the start of the year, so I'm sure they're thinking along those lines.
Yep.
So let's go there. So I get that. So let's wait and see.
All right, there you go. Before we continue, we should obviously pay our respects and condolences to Max Bashir.
Yes.
Obviously passing away at 98 years of age. Had a instrumental role within SANFL football,
massive.
And in particular the formation of the Crows.
Yeah, huge role. People who criticise Max Bashir have no idea what was going on behind the scenes and how close WA football went to going bankrupt. People don't realise West Coast very, very, very nearly went under.
Yep.
And if that had gone under, that was the end of the national comp.
Yep.
And people don't understand that the SANFL were being responsible in the background, and until Port did the dirty, because the entry conditions the Crows got were terrible, because they just had to get on with it then. So, people don't realise.
What's your fondest memory of Max?
I met him a few times because he played for Adelaide Uni, so there, and he helped actually open InterVarsity at Uni Oval one year, and that, so didn't have many conversations with him and never anything really of length.
Yep.
But, he still well and truly showed that he was proud of his time at Adelaide Uni Footy Club.
Absolutely. What about his move, obviously, to Football Park, away from the Adelaide Oval at that stage?
Well, there's a certain Dee Bradman that they had no other choice, and he blocked everywhere else. Like it may well have been at Railways Oval now, or where the new hospital is, that's where it might have been, but Bradman cut all that off.
Wow.
So
that's a story within itself.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, the stand at Adelaide Oval is named after him, and there's going to be a lot of people paying their respects over the little way. He's going to go down as one of the great football administration in Australia, really, when you think about it, and there's been quite a few of them at the moment.
Oh, very much so.
Yep. All right, let's move on, mate. Players wanting out. Is it time to allow clubs to trade anyone on their list that they want to get the job done?
I'm not a fan of that, but I'm also not a fan at the moment. The players seeming to have so much control at the end of the year, and it seems a bit of a dog's breakfast overall at the moment. Mm-hmm. So you can sign a contract. It used to be if you signed a contract, that was it. Well, at the moment, it doesn't really seem to mean much. Yep. So I'm not a fan of that either.
Well, we did talk about it a little bit earlier. Let's talk about Merritt and his particular situation. Captain of a club. It seemingly has turned very, very sour very, very quickly, where Essendon we're going to hold him to his contract. You've got a player who doesn't want to be there. Surely you've got to try and get something done. But signing for extra years and for extra money, you run that risk, don't you?
Yeah. It's smelly at the moment, really smelly, and it seems like his management team's dug its heels in and all that, and virtually forcing him at the moment to get out.
Yep.
I don't like it. I don't like a club captain like that as well. And
and Simpkins come out today and said that he wants to explore it. So Is it a case of players being unhappy and looking for that greener pasture, or do they need to get away from the club that they're in at the moment?
Generally, it seems to be, though, the players who are at clubs which aren't winning. We all want to win, and now, hang on, no, I want out because there's no, thinking, I think the idea of being one club players and, you and I are roughly this, obviously I'm older than you, but it used to be the thing where the generation now doesn't have that thought process.
The NBA basically, fans are following players, not teams anymore. So if a player moves teams, then they pretty much will move with them. So
look, and it's also our age group. Like, I think the majority of people our age group think the ranking bit. Just think, come on, what happens on field stays on field. You get the 20-year-old. No, that word is a massive no. So it's interesting.
The changing face of public sport, that's for sure as well. Hawthorn obviously having a big crack at Merit. Do you think that's a good move for them? 29 years of age.
Yeah, but they're in that window now. They're young. They're equipped everywhere else. They'd be thinking.
But that's where Adelaide are at with, say, Petrarca.
Yeah. But I reckon he's not that burst player where I think Hawthorn cover themselves everywhere else for pace a bit better than Adelaide. And Hawthorn will be going, hang on, well, we can't bank on Will Day. We know what a gun he is, but we just can't bank on his foot.
Injury prone,
We're potentially one midfielder short from having a golden era. And let's remember, they were meant to be the side rebuilding. They were meant to be behind North Melbourne at one stage. So,
they're well and truly ahead. And playing in a prelim this week. We'll talk about that one in a minute. Big names to move in 2026. This is a sign of the times. Players need a fresh start for their careers. Curnow I'm talking about in particular. Does he need to get away from the Melbourne bubble?
Possibly.
Does Petrarca need to get away from the Melbourne bubble?
Yeah, but it also seems to be convenient again. It's clubs who aren't winning now want to get out. I'm a bit too old-fashioned for my own.
No, that's right. Can they revive their careers if they do have that change, though, do you think?
Yeah, possibly. I still think they can revive it at their club. So I still think Carlton have just got to modify a few. Yes, I think their disposal by foot, as we said, is very much in question. But I still think there's still too much talent for that not to be better. Okay, it might be a premiership
They went too defensive this year. That was the problem. They tried to fix up their defence. They went too defensive, and it showed. So, players meeting openly with other clubs these days. Where is the penalty for clubs engaging in conduct like it used to be?
It's gone out the window, mate.
Can you believe that? It is crazy. Let's talk about last weekend's games, in particular Brisbane and Gold Coast. Would you say the season has been a success for the Gold Coast Suns?
Yeah, I think so overall, especially winning a final. I still think, and they've got, Walter, Leonardo. There's some, and they've got it. They'll get Euland's brother Zeke in this year, and he's meant to be a gun. There's another one from their academy, so I think they're a chance.
So a little bit of a sliding doors moment. Let's look at Adelaide versus Gold Coast's season. Would you say Adelaide's season was a fail and Gold Coast was a pass?
Because we judge on finals so much. Yeah,
because Gold Coast did win a final.
And I think Gold Coast are closer to a flag.
So you'd rate that a little bit more successful? Or is it about the same?
About the same. About the same.
So Adelaide are a great home and away side but haven't cracked the finals, whereas Gold Coast are a great home and away or good home and away side and did crack a final.
I'd rather have Gold Coast list.
Yeah.
I'm very open.
Why do you think Damien Hardwick went there to coach? Exactly. He wants another premiership as well. Let's talk about Adelaide and Hawthorn. Jay Newcomb, who we spoke about a little bit earlier, he was really the difference, wasn't he?
Yeah, dominated.
And Jack Gunston at 33 years of age, like a fine wine, getting better, basically had the ball on a string and did what he wanted in that forward line, and that was probably the cross against Mark Keane.
Yeah, and we also go back to we might be having a crack at players leaving clubs and the way Gunston left Adelaide with his lack of honesty to other players and a player he was living with at the time was pretty average. So, yeah, I don't like that. So.
Yep. No, fair enough. Melbourne, Stephen King has been appointed coach, mate. That was a bit of a left field one. What did you think, mate?
Oh, it's just because we all thought, hang on, are they just going through the frackade for Buckley? But Buckley might want the Tasmanian job, well,
he's come out and basically said that he wasn't quite ready for the Melbourne job.
So he might have done his own bit, his own summation of, hang on, this club administration wise has been very poor.
Yep.
And there's still a lot of question marks there.
Yep.
It was a basket case.
Whereas Tasmania are going to get pretty much all the pick of the litter, I suppose, as far as players go, or concessions maybe to get it up and running. But there's still a long way from that even happening because they don't have a stadium yet.
No,
they don't have a licence.
It's still a big question mark.
Yep. If Buckley doesn't coach at Tasmania, will he coach at another AFL club? And if so, who's your sort of pick for that?
Oh, who knows? But it's
who
knows whether he wants to still.
Well, no, he's flagged that he wants to be at Tasmania on the basis that it is a new enterprise and an opportunity to set things up. But if you were to question without notice, if you were to say today, who's under the most pressure next year coaching wise? Do you think? Because grand final coaches don't grow on trees.
No, I know, but I think
you've got Simpson and you've got
Longmuir's under pressure.
Yep.
Look, all of a sudden, pressure goes back on the Knicks now too. So it's a fine line. It goes pretty quick.
Will Adelaide have scars from losing the finals?
Potentially, yeah, no doubt about that.
Yep,
no doubt, big chance.
So you're saying your top three coaches under pressure for next year: Knicks, Longmuir, and.
I still think Alistair Clarkson's got to start to be under pressure now.
That was the one that I was going to suggest as well, is that he is under pressure.
Yeah, it has to be.
Very, very interesting to see how that one goes. Ashcroft, he stepped up in the absence of Lachie Neale.
Certainly did.
He's just going to another level. I mean, he's already got Norm Smith under his belt, and he's, under 22?
And he's had an Eureka. Incredible.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? All right, let's talk about this week's matches very, very quickly, mate. Geelong v Hawthorn.
Geelong haven't got many injuries. I'll go Geelong. I'll still go Geelong.
Geelong for me as well, but it's going to be an entertaining clash, and they always are. Collingwood v Brisbane.
I'm going to go Collingwood. I just still think Brisbane without Lachie Neale, without Hipwood, there's still injuries there, and I just think
home ground advantage, maybe?
Yeah, home ground advantage. And let's be honest, McRae may have hammered them for a while too without us really realising. And that's so, yeah.
So we're predicting a Geelong-Collingwood grand final. Wow, that'll be huge. First time since 2019 that we've had two preliminary finals in Melbourne. They're expecting 180,000 over the weekend.
Yeah, it would be.
It's a pretty good result for the AFL. They'd be sort of pretty happy about that. Gunston obviously had a bit of a cracker. Do you think he can replicate that against Collingwood?
I think Collingwood's defensive.
Against Geelong?
Yeah, I think they'll be set up a bit better than Adelaide. Look, as you want in prelim finals, you can make a case for all four sides, and that's the way it should be.
Yep. So. And all four sides, like we said earlier, are in that age profile or playing profile. All right, mate, we better take a very, very quick break so you can have a bit more of a stretch. Let's see what's coming up in a minute, mate. All right, a huge SANFL preliminary final result. And the AFLW Adelaide cement themselves inside the top 8. And Australia go down in the Davis Cup tie here in Australia against Belgium.
You're listening to the Game On Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
A dents and scratches putting a dent in your day? Introducing Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide, your trusted solution for automotive woes. With over 2 decades of expertise, Roger Steen Crash Repairs guarantees top-notch service, restoring your vehicle to its former glory in no time. From minor dings to major collisions, our skilled technicians handle it all with precision and care, using state-of-the-art equipment and techniques.
Roger Steen Crash Repairs saved my car. It looks brand new.
Fast, friendly and reliable. I wouldn't trust anyone else with my vehicle. Don't let accidents slow you down. Visit Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide at 14 Penner Avenue, Glen, for quality service you can count on. And here's a special offer just for our listeners. Mention this podcast and receive a $100 discount on your repair. Roger Steen Crash Repairs Adelaide. Excellence in every repair.
And as per usual, we thank our sponsors for looking after us.
Thank you to Craig.
Absolutely. All right, mate, let's move on to the SANFL. Breaking news in the SANFL today in that Nathan Bassett has taken up a role with West Adelaide.
Yes, it hasn't exactly been a secret.
Yes, we sort of thought that might have been the case.
Yeah, look, he'll be fantastic for West Adelaide. He'll go in, he'll grab the club. Let's remember they had the 16s and 18s both made the grand final, so that Bass will go in and work there. Remembering 12, 13, 14, there were how many Nord juniors were in the side? A hell of a lot more than now, and that was Nathan Bassett, and he's a whole club coach. Yep.
Are you surprised he hasn't got an AFL gig yet? Or is that not really sort of on his radar?
Oh, no, it was on his radar.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought.
Look, Bass can be polarising, as can I, obviously.
Yep.
I think Bass has probably mellowed a lot compared to the past, but I think he's exactly. If you'd said to me, right, who could be the one person who's a chance to rescue West Adelaide, I would have said Nathan Bassett.
Yep.
So.
Is this the last roll of the dice for West Adelaide a little bit? And the SANFL, because it's obviously in conjunction with the SANFL?
Yeah, possibly. And yes, but SANFL can't afford a team to roll over. And the other clubs know that, but it's a catch-22. There's a lot of things behind the scenes which will worry the SANFL. And look, it's no secret. Now it's out there. Mm-hmm. I stuffed up at Nord, so I'm no longer doing the scoreboard. It's my own fault. And I was critical of umpiring. I was too loud and that. But I'm also a bit bitter with a couple of things about it. I didn't swear whatsoever. And there's been a couple of accusations which aren't correct. And the way it's been handled has been, in my book, pretty poor. So I admit I'm a bit disillusioned with footy at the moment.
No, fair enough.
So,
obviously, Nathan's going to go in there and do what he does best. Does he bring a sort of a team across with him as well? Will he have full autonomy when it comes to that?
Nathan will be organised.
Yep.
Yes. Bass. As I said, I picked him as my best coach and my best ever Nord side.
There you go.
So that's showing my thoughts.
Best of luck to Nathan Bassett there with West Adelaide. All right, let's move on. Nord played an absolute cracking final against Glenelg, a prelim final. One for the ages, really, but bad kicking is bad football, and that was what cost Nord in the end.
Yeah, I feel for Tristan Binder, but yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it is. Kicks that. Nord are playing this week, and could have good fun against Sturt. Sturt would have been absolutely shitting themselves playing Nord because it's got would have had so many similarities to 1978.
Yep.
And I just would have sent out the score 16-15 to 14-26 to Sturt supporters all week. So, yes.
Yep. Bad luck, mate. You didn't quite get on that bandwagon. But we have to say congratulations to Glenelg. I think, they have been the dominant force for the last three or 4 years. They get a chance to go for their three-peat. But Sturt have been the team, really, of this year where they haven't put a foot wrong, really.
No, look, it was a pretty dominant second half in that second semi, and they've got to go in and overwhelming favourites, but it's not like Glenelg haven't got the experience and all that. And even in that second semi, where Sturt had so much of the football in the first half, Glenelg were 2 goals up at half time.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Prediction, mate. Do you think Sturt get the job done early? Or
Yeah, I'll go for Sturt.
Yep.
I'll go for Sturt.
Glenelg, too many injuries?
I just think Sturt this year are the best side.
And Max Proud is out with a punctured lung.
Yeah, he's a big loss.
Yep. And Battersby has walked away from Sturt as of tonight.
Yeah, it's
which is
disappointing.
absolutely crazy when you think about it. But Matt and I did hear him speak, and he did talk about that, the injuries are sort of, or knee's not quite where it needs to be, and he may have got an opportunity to play, but this really just shows that the cutthroat nature, I suppose, of SANFL football. It is disappointing.
Anyway.
Both Glenelg and Sturt are playing in the reserves final, and that's probably testament to how strong those clubs are going at the moment.
That's true.
Exactly right. All right. One thing we didn't mention a couple of weeks ago, and we were remiss for missing it, but we did obviously have a few things going on at the time. But congratulations to Woodville West Torrens wheelchair premiership team.
Yeah, congratulations to Trevor Jarrett and Woodville West Torrens. I've chatted to Trevor and try and get either Trevor or someone from Woodville West Torrens on. Yeah, that is an oversight.
Yes.
And it's an apology there, so I'll chase Trevor up this week.
Absolutely. Thought I'd throw that one in there. All right, let's move on to AFLW. Adelaide had all the answers against Hawthorn last weekend to cement their spot in the top 8. They're building quite nicely at the moment, but it is a very short season. So
yeah, they've been a bit inconsistent.
Everything's got to go right.
Losing against St Kilda might really hurt them, and they should have won that game against Brisbane too.
Yep. So. Brisbane only just going down to North Melbourne, who are obviously the team to beat, that's for sure there. Port Adelaide winning a thriller at Alberton against the D's and continue to impress their steady improvement once again in 2025.
Oh, no doubt about that. They have been the big improver. So
good luck to Port Adelaide in the remaining games. We won't go through our tips for that this week. We'll talk about it a little bit more next week. But let's move on to soccer. Adelaide United welcome Jan Muniz on a 3-year contract. Looks like an exciting striker for the Adelaide United.
We can only hope, because let's be honest, the striker is the person who gets the people through the gates.
Exactly right.
Especially at soccer at this level.
Exactly right. And as we talked about last week, Ange Postecoglou has taken over the top job at Nottingham Forest. But wow, what a baptism of fire with, I think, 4 out of his next 5 games, or 4 out of his first 5 games away from home.
Yeah. Yes.
It's absolutely crazy.
But you're there for 2.5 days, and there he's coach, your manager. Yeah,
yes.
It's a bit amusing.
And the fans are basically calling for him to be sacked as well, which is absolutely crazy. All right, mate.
It's a strange game over there.
It's hard to understand here in Australia, isn't it? That the way that they deal with things in Europe there, and especially with their football managers or coaches and bits and pieces like that. I just don't get how you can sack a coach after 3 games.
Yeah, I'd hate to know how much they pay and all that. Like, Sellers has been sacked as manager of Sheffield United after 5 games. The way it's reading was, no other alternative. They'd lost complete confidence in him.
But how do you do that after 3 games?
That was 5 games.
Oh, 5.
But
sorry.
It's still crazy. It's just totally different.
Yep.
Honestly,
is it because
you lose and they say sack the coach and you're going, huh?
Is it because of the money that's involved? Because they're talking about multi-million-dollar years, not.
No, I don't. I just think it's the mentality over there. They just automatically blame the manager.
Out with the old,
coach,
in with
bang.
the new.
Yeah, it's week by week over there.
Crazy. All right, let's have a look at what's coming up, mate. On Friday, Matty Krieg, part 2. That was actually a great interview, mate.
Yeah, with Matty Krieg. Look, we'll be honest, we recorded that tonight. Fascinating about talking about driven from within and that. Yeah, so it was a good chat.
All right.
You're listening to the Game On podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
Looking to buy or sell your home anywhere in Adelaide, from the hills to the sea? Meet Gary KRIEVS, your dedicated local agent from OUWENS CASSERLY Real Estate. With unparalleled knowledge of Adelaide's housing market and a commitment to exceptional service, Gary ensures a smooth and stress-free experience for all your real estate needs. Trust the expert, trust Gary KRIEVS at OUWENS CASSERLY Real Estate. Your next dream home awaits. Contact Gary today on 0422 071 317 or on email garyk@ocre.com.au. And for more listings, please visit owenscasserly.com.au. Make it happen.
Flashbacks.
That's out. That's 299 test wickets for McGrath. And that was a good one. He can sniff it, Pidge. Gone! He's got him as out, he's out. First ball, Glen Mc Grath, there's 300. The perfect scenario. Brian Lara came to the crease, Glen Mc Grath right on the spot, pitched about middle of the leg, went away a good thick outside edge, and Glen Mc Grath's got 300 test wickets. Well bowled, absolute champion Glen Mc Grath, beautifully bowled. He gets Brian Lara, first ball for 300 test wickets. He's just seen his opening batsman fall, he's just seen Brian Lara fall. Here he is facing a hat-trick. It's out! Got it! Glen Mc Grath's got it! It's a leading edge, straight up in the air, and that's a hat-trick. He wasn't on 300 test wickets for long, Glen Mc Grath.
Extra time. Big finish.
All right, mate. I thought I'd chuck some cricket in because I know we're getting towards that time of the year.
Well, it started today.
Yes.
Tasmania were 8 for 124, chasing 224 and got up. Kuhneman and Hope got them home there.
There's a few little jaffers in there as well.
Yeah, and there's a game tomorrow, Victoria tomorrow, but there's Australia A game on at the moment against India A over in India.
Yes.
Now, the last I looked, Australia were none for 140. The last I looked with Constas and Kellaway in. We're just going to that as we speak.
Yep. While we're talking about that, Chris Lynn goes absolutely nuts, hitting the first 100 in the T20 Blast over there in England, but he hit 5 consecutive sixes in one over on the final day in the UK off of, I think, Lloyd Pope, actually. So getting a bit of stick there.
So, yeah. Australia, well, actually, they're 4 for 237, so they've fallen away a bit.
Yep.
Constas made 109, Campbell Kellaway 88. Unfortunately, Nathan McSweeney 1 and Ollie Peake 2. So, Constas is a timely 100.
Yes.
He made 100 last week in a city versus country game.
Yep.
So, he's got a couple of hundreds before Shield games start now. So, he's probably back in the equation.
He's given himself the best opportunity. Let's also talk about the Australian women's team sending a bit of a warning ahead of the one-day International World Cup with a good timely win by a couple of wickets there against...
Oh, no, they won easy.
Well,
they won by 5 overs.
Yep.
And they were 2 for 280-odd to win. They got them easy with Litchfield and that starring and I'm trying to think. Oh, shit. They actually used 8 bowlers, Australia. I did note that, but they got them easy.
Yep. What are you expecting from the start of the Shield season, mate?
It's going to be really interesting because there's going to be so many players not playing. The Australia and Australia A games going on.
Yes.
So, I think South Australia will be without probably McSweeney, Sanger, Liam Scott, maybe Doggett, whatever. So we could be without 4 or 5. So it's going to be interesting to see.
That's why I asked, mate. It's going to be an interesting start, that's for sure. All right, let's talk tennis. Australia fails to qualify for the Davis Cup finals after a 3-2 loss to Belgium, home in Australia. That just doesn't happen or shouldn't happen.
A bit disappointing.
It is indeed. Is Alex de Minaur a broken man after his loss at the US Open? He, after falling to what he believes he belongs in that top tier group, but he just can't break through.
Yeah, you can say he believes, but probably deep down he doesn't.
Yep.
Really.
And it showed in his first tie in the Australian Belgium match where he just couldn't get over the line again. Yeah, very much so. Good on Australia for obviously fighting it out there. Basically, third set in the final game, just going down there as well. Vukic obviously filled in to play for Thompson. The Laver Cup is being played in San Francisco, which Alex de Minaur will be part of, but also Pat Rafter will be the assistant coach of the world team. Good to see Pat back on the tennis circuit a little bit.
Apart from that TV ad.
The Bonds ad? Yeah. There you go. So, good luck to him and, good to see him around tennis again. Let's finish off tonight. Before we get to the rulebook rant, Josh Giddey finally signs a deal with the Chicago Bulls for 4 years for $100 million.
Took a while, though, didn't it?
Well, I think he wanted 5 for 125, and they wanted something else, and they sort of came to the middle.
You can certainly afford to sponsor the show.
Yeah, well, anybody out there that might want to help us out can certainly let us know, that's for sure. All right, mate, everybody.
For a hell of a lot less than that.
Yes, for a hell of a lot less than that. Mate, let's get to everybody's favourite subject, the rulebook rant.
Rulebook rant.
AFL this week has got to be the greatest episode of hypocrisy we've ever seen. How in the hell you can rate on terms a homophobic comment, one word, and yet Chris Scott and then Bailey Smith have abused females. Bailey Smith has actually told allegedly told a photographer to F off, whatever. If that's not worse and not treating a person with respect in their workplace and all that, more than what anyone else on the homophobic bit, I know which one I consider worse, and yet no action. And people wonder why we think it's still a Victorian competition. You just deep down wonder there, but it's just staggering, and you just continue to shake your head in disbelief. And that's also being said behind the scenes, that there's just so many administrators and ex-administrators just have no confidence in the current administration whatsoever. It's been the worst year ever, and it's just staggering how you can take no action.
Can it get any better?
Unbelievable.
Can it get any better with the incumbents that are coming in?
Well, surely it's just got to, but I think we all thought Swan coming in, but what's he done so far and all that, and what's his role then? Hang on, what can he do now? What's Tom Harley going to be able to do? And at the moment, it's a dog's breakfast. It's just been a dog's breakfast of absolute and utter incompetence. And you just, it's staggering, as KG would say, strike me pink.
Bang, ladies and gentlemen, there is our...
Bang, over and out.
Rulebook rant. Mate, let's finish off very quickly. The good, the bad, the ugly for the week.
Catching up, actually, also on Sunday, I went down to have a look at junior games at Noarlunga. Now, I've got to be honest, if you offered me any role in the SANFL, it'd be take over South Adelaide in terms of there's so much scope can be done. Honestly, the number of people there Sunday was unbelievable. Way more than they get at a league game.
Yes.
I can't emphasise that enough.
Yes.
What a surprise they ran out of food by quarter time of about 3 games to go sort of thing and all that. Yep. But just, honestly, there are so many things you could do.
Yep.
There are so many clubs down there. It was just staggering, and just the number of people. And I got there at 9 o'clock and was just stunned how many people were there by then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it a case of the SNFL just losing their way a little bit because of the AFL?
Yeah, and I just don't think there's an effective enough blueprint for all clubs to follow. And I think they get the stars in their eyes where they're at, and they've just realised, you and I, what was your first experience? Pie and pasty nights, etc. And I think the clubs have gotten away. And I know if you let me run North, South, whatever, I'd have local club days, and I just think SANFL clubs don't think enough.
Yes. And
just don't get in touch with their area anywhere near enough.
Well, you've got local grand finals being played at the SANFL grounds over the next week, or potentially this weekend and next weekend, and big crowds, exactly right. Oh. So it's not like those supporters don't know where the grounds are and don't need to do it. I think it just gets down to scheduling as well. So
a little bit, but I certainly know the A1 grand final, it'll be Nord's biggest, apart from from AFL games. So let's remove those.
Yep.
It'll be their biggest crowd for the year.
Yep.
Now, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. There you go. The good, the bad, the ugly right there, mate. Let's finish off. Quick couple of tips. We already did it earlier, but we'll do it again. Sturt v Glenelg.
Sturt.
Geelong v Hawthorn.
Toss the coin, I'll go Geelong.
Collingwood v Brisbane.
Collingwood.
All right, good luck to all preliminary finals and grand finalists this weekend. Also in the local league, we might even try and touch base with one of the local league clubs over the next week or two with their success in their grand finals being played as well. All right, mate, we're going to wrap things up quite early tonight. We've done pretty well to squeeze it out in about 55, 56 minutes, which is fantastic. Please like, rate, subscribe. Pass it on to friends, family, and anybody else that wants to listen to us.
Tea time anyway, mate.
Exactly. All right, mate. Let's wind things up there. We thank you once again. We will do better next week, as we always do. We'll see you then.
In this crazy world we live in, we all need the distraction. Enjoying the show? Like, rate, and subscribe. Hook up and connect with us on social media at SportscastSA. We'll see you next time on Game On.